Hi, welcome to Queer Reality Tarot. My name is Ro, and I'm going to be doing 3 short readings for the month of April. So I'm going to show you 3 cards for you to decide between, and those cards will determine which reading you get. Okay. So for reading 1, folks, this is card 1. We've got a person walking towards a big door in the cosmos. 2 is a person with their consciousness in the cosmos. And 3 is a person about to leap into the cosmos. So without thinking too hard about it, just pick which card you feel most drawn to, 1, 2, or 3. Okay, and we'll start with the first reading. Now, when I was shuffling the cards, I got 2 bonus cards. So before I get into reading 1, I just want to do an overall for the collective. The 2 cards that fell out when I was shuffling is the 7 of Inspiration, also known as the 7 of Wands, and then the 6 of Materials, also known as the 6 of Pentacles. So for the collective, the 7 of Inspiration, or the 7 of Wands, is about, you can see this person is really internally focused, and they're pushing aside what I think of is like any beliefs that aren't true, like negative beliefs about yourself, anybody who is judging you on what you know you're here to do for your soul purpose. It's really about pushing aside any messages that aren't aligned with your true purpose, what you're here to do. And so this person is like pushing aside to allow their soul self to come through. So that is what we're in right now as a collective, is really pushing aside that which is slowing us down from doing what we're here to do. And then the other one is the 6 of Materials. And this card is about finding balance as far as giving and receiving. And this might be the giving of your energy, the giving of money, the giving of time, maybe just doing too many errands, or feeling like you have to save the world. Finding balance with how much you're giving and then how much you're receiving. How much are you, without that balance, it's just not sustainable, whatever it is we're doing. So for the collective, it's about pushing aside any false negative messaging so that our full self can shine through, and finding balance as far as giving and receiving to make what we do sustainable. Okay, so those are for all of us. And now getting to the first folks, we have, this card is called Soul Gifts and Training. It's time to step up. Okay, so this is group 1. I already shuffled the cards here, so I'm going to go ahead and get right into picking a stack. And I'm just going to do 3 cards for each of these readings. Okay, and I'm going to go with this one. We got the Hierophant, and I am noticing that this came up upside down first, so just kind of keeping that in mind. The 8 of Voices, once again, it came up upside down. And the Knight of Voices upside down. Okay, I don't really do reverse cards because I think all cards have like a shadow and a light side, but it is good for us to take into consideration maybe what you're coming out of or what you're leaning into. So the fact that these were all upside down and now they're flipped over, thinking about this overarching theme that we're all in. So I want to show you. So here's the Hierophant. And in a more traditional deck, like in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, it looks like, I think it's the Pope, or in one of the old decks, it's the Pope. So this card is about paying attention to, like, oh, this is really making me think of what we're pushing aside, as far as this is about conditioning, this is about tradition in usually the harmful ways. So this card is about creating your own traditions, about paying attention to what is really aligned with what you want and what comes from conditioning that's not really aligned with what you want. So this is about, it can also be if you're feeling a little bit lost, like you want to break tradition, but you're not really sure where to go. It can be about noticing what classes or teachers or mentors you feel attracted to, where you can be learning new ways of being. It also can mean, as you're stepping into new ways of being, how can you be a mentor for others who are on a similar path of trying to figure out how to be in their most authentic way, their most authentic life. So you got the Hierophant, and then the Eight of Voices, or the Eight of Swords. This card is about, and since it was upside down, it's like I'm seeing these as, it looks like you've had huge leaps, or in the month of April, you're stepping into really huge leaps. In fact, this reading really reminds me of the healing session I just did. So the Eight of Voices, or Eight of Swords, this is about, we think that we don't have agency. We think we're being like shackled, but we're really not. And so once again, this is about breaking out of those false beliefs we have that make us think that we can't step into our higher self. So this is saying for the month of April, you're breaking the old conditioning to make your own norms, your own, what's in alignment with who you are, your own traditions, and realizing that you're not limited or held back by those old ways that don't fit you, or the ways that you were told you're supposed to be. So there's a lot of energy of freedom here. And then really bringing in that same energy of freedom, we've got swords again. So there's a lot about authenticity, being your true self. The Knight, remember, the Knight is in service of this, like it could be of the king or the queen, but it can be, for you, it could be what your soul is here to do. It could be your commitment to bringing healing, your commitment to social justice. This is about really being in your full power as far as that which you're bringing to your community. And I love this image because horses are very heavy, right? So as we're being conditioned and all of those false beliefs are weighing down on us, this card is about feeling that feeling of being lifted, that power, those muscles, that weight being totally swooped up by the wings, and feeling, I'm getting the feeling of like an ocean wave, like just that strong, heavy power. It's beautiful. So for you, what I really see is for the month of April, you were just very much pushing aside any of the conditioning or negative beliefs you have absorbed that made you think you had to do things a certain way, and that you're just coming into your full expression that's aligned and committed to your values, what you're here to do. And so remembering with this card also, as you're doing that, to remember to find balance. If you're, what can you do to take care of yourself? What can you do to slow down? Can you take a nap? Can you take a bath? Can you feed yourself something extra nutritious? Can you reach out to a friend if you need help? So using this card as sort of the medicine to support you in this. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so that is April for folks who chose the first card, and now the second card. And once again, leaving in these cards for the general collective. So you all got double mission, light worker, starseed, serve the world by being you. Wow, so once again, we're just getting this theme of authenticity. Okay, so let's draw your 3 cards here. Okay. Okay. So group number 2. this one. Okay, so what is happening for you in April? Four of Inspiration or Four of Swords, the Priestess. So once again, this one was upside down. So, you may not have listened to reading one, but I don't do shadow or reverse cards, but I do pay attention when something is upside down because it shows you're really being invited to really come into this thing that had maybe been moving slow or been kind of blocked, that you're coming into it in April. Okay, same thing here. This one was upside down. So these two you're really coming into, and this one is probably more of a continuation of what you've already been in. So the Four of Inspiration or the Four of Wands, the element of fire. So this card is so, I think this is so cool because it's the element of fire, but we have the earth, they're on this stone, so it's something that's heavy, and they're lifted up in the air. And so it's basically like in collaboration, in connection with those who are very much aligned with what you're here to do, that like wand fire energy can actually lift the earth. That's how powerful that is. So this is really kind of like highlighting, underscoring your relationships and collaboration to really pay attention to the people you feel super connected to, very energized by, as far as thinking about balancing energy. And to be discerning, like if there are certain people that it doesn't feel like this, that maybe it's time to pay attention to other relationships. But basically for the month of April, it looks like you're going to be in really sacred collaboration where you're moving the earth. So that's beautiful. And then what you're invited to really kerplunk into is inner knowing. The Priestess is very much about inner wisdom, inner trust, connecting to spirit, connecting to moon energy, to this quiet inner knowing that has such sacred power. Like this is like gravity, the moon is like the gravitational pull that moves oceans. So this is very much about going within, allowing for those sacred pauses to kind of assess the direction you're going into and really developing your gifts, like your psychic gifts, your healing gifts, and to trust that that's real. So for April, it looks like you're going to be really feeling into that. And this is the Queen of Materials. The story with this card within this deck is this is actually you. See that person down there? This is the same person, but this is actually the person. And what they're doing is they've put up a poster for basically like the film of their life. This is about celebrating yourself, thinking about like pushing aside haters in any way that you've had imposter syndrome, self-disparaging, any ways you put yourself down or other people have. This is about you reflecting on your life, what you've overcome, what you've accomplished, what you're stepping into, what the world you've created for yourself, and hanging up a big poster saying, I'm celebrating all I've done. I'm celebrating the film of my life. So yeah, it's really beautiful. So as far as like thinking about the collective theme, it feels like really coming into your inner wisdom and giving gratitude and honoring all you've been through, and to really feel held as far as like sustainability and coming into your full self, really paying attention to who you're spending time with, who you're being in community with, who you're collaborating with, and that with that, this stuff is just all going to move in the best ways. And to bring it back to this card you chose, to serve the world by being you. This is what you're being called to do. Okay. And now group 3. We've got Earth School. Says life lessons, soul growth, study, higher learning. So it's really, I love the motion of this card. There's a lot of trust and surrender. It really has a lot of energy, a similar energy to the Fool in the tarot, that kind of enthusiastic surrender. And the way with the Fool, there's this kind of childlike excitement about learning and discovering and being on new paths in this earth school, which is what this card is called. So beautiful. Okay. We're going to go with this one. We'll get your 3 cards here. Okay, so you got the 3 materials, and this was upside down. Just kind of noticing that. The 9 of materials, and this was upside down, and the 5 of emotions. And once again, thinking about this being under the collective, which is kind of pushing aside the haters or internal haters, and then finding balance with giving and receiving. So you got the 3 of materials, and this was upside down. So for the month of April, you might be coming into some type of new collaboration. So it could be an old one is leaving and a new one is coming in. The fact that that was reversed, that's what that could mean. And I love the motion in this card. So the black stripes in this deck mean movement. And you can see how these folks, it's kind of like that saying 2 heads are better than 1. It's like 3 heads are better than 1, or 3 heads are better than 2. But together they're weaving this creation and bringing it into fruition. So it looks like there's going to be some shifting on who you're collaborating with, or how you all are collaborating together. Maybe it's time to check in and assess if there's anything that needs to be tweaked or that could make things go a little more smoothly. So there's something around that for you in April. And then also in April, this is about, so 9 of materials is about, it's sort of like you're almost at the end of a creation cycle, and it's really about giving gratitude and celebrating all of the movement, all that you've done as far as being on this path for whatever it is that you've been creating. April will really be a time of, if there's anything that's been stuck, there will be some movement, some things will get unstuck. So yeah, whatever it is you're working on, it just feels like there's going to be a lot of movement in that, movement forward. Movement, I mean, also I just kind of got like, sometimes we've got this idea of moving forward always being the best. It's movement, like movement is movement. It might not always be clear exactly what it's leading to, but there will be movement, which ultimately is in the direction that you're wanting. And then lastly, and this one had been upside down, we've got the 5 of emotions. So this card is really about like thinking about the heart. This is related to grief. In this card, it shows grief as ice, and this spirit helper, and there's the moon in their chest, is about melting that grief. And so the fact that it's upside down, it can be sort of a warning that you don't want that to get stuck. And so in April, if there's any grief that you can feel, like notice, and for a lot of people it's like in their upper chest, or if you feel the urge to cry, don't block it, like let it come out. And that when those things get locked, that's where we can kind of get off our path. So for April, just really paying attention to places where grief can be melted. Okay. So those are the 3 readings for the month of April, and I hope those end up helping your journey through April, however it ends up shaking out. And I thank you so much for listening, and sending you all lots of love. Thank you. Bye.